Wall Street is making huge bets on Bitcoin and crypto right now, both on the investment side and, of course, on ETF flows. People are starting to talk about super cycles again, even though we had a very small retrace tomorrow. And one of the hottest topics right now is the newly minted debasement trade that everybody seems to be on board with, which could buoy Bitcoin and send it to prices unimaginable by the end of this cycle, whenever that will be. I'm going to definitely tell you exactly all of those things on this solo show before Chris Inks comes on in the back half right now. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody, fellow members of the Wolf Pack? Happy Wednesday. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning after the bear market of yesterday. I hope that you all survived Bitcoin price dropping as low as almost $120,000, $120,000, unimaginable lows for an asset like Bitcoin that should be at $1 million by now. I don't know if we're going to make it, honestly. I know some of us will make it, but I'm not sure if all of us are going to make it. It dropped to prices not seen since 3 days ago. I mean, really, truly brutal bear market. Of course, I'm being slightly sarcastic, which I can do when I decide that I don't want to have a guest and I just want to talk a lot of smack with you guys. Before we get started, you are contractually obligated to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. If you don't do those things, literally just leave. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want you here. I don't want you in the comments, because you're not contributing. I ask you one thing, and that's to help me boost the success of this video in the algorithm. And yes, at the end of the show, we will have Chris Inks, who's going to put on his Oracle hat and use his crystal ball and tell us exactly where prices are going. We have a lot of topics to dig into today, but first, I want to start with something very important. It's this. The word of the day, kids, is debasement. Can you say debasement? Say it with me. Debasement. I can hear all of you saying it through, because this word, I don't know if the Grand Council of Bank Wizards got together and decided that the debasement trade was going to be a thing as of this week, but everybody's talking about it. Here's the definition of debasement: the action of reducing the quality or value of something. It's funny because I actually thought it was where my altcoin portfolio has gone to debasement. Do you remember those jokes when we were kids? Most of you might not be my age, but where you would take a word and there'd be a funny word. We're not allowed to tell them anymore. One of them, which was very benign, I'll tell you, as I'm looking at debasement, where my altcoins are living, is that the teacher asked little Timmy to use a word in a sentence. She said, well, can you spell the word first? Actually said before, and he said, yeah, it's easy. BEFORE. And she said, that's right, BEFORE. And she said, can you use it in a sentence? And he said, 2 + 2 = 4. We used to have a lot of jokes like that. Some of them leaned a little more racist, but we're like that debasement trade. But here we are, the debasement trade. Let's go through it. First, we got, well, I was on the right spot there. Fiscal fragility fuels long-term Bitcoin upside. Bitcoin advocate Paul Tudor Jones. Paul Tudor Jones said they're going to debase the dollar. They're going to print money endlessly. This will be good for Bitcoin. This will be good for gold, and this will be good for the NASDAQ. They're going to debase, which means debase currency, print money. Yeah, here it is. Very appealing as Bitcoin heats up. But it's not just him. We have some of the biggest names all of a sudden coming out this week. Citadel founder Ken Griffin warns of run from dollar into Bitcoin and gold as both assets hit new all-time highs. Yes, that Ken Griffin. We're talking about right now, we're gathering together all of the leaders of the galactic empire and apparently cheering for them because they all think Bitcoin's going to go up. The debasement trade, it's not just them. JP Morgan, yes, that JP Morgan, sees Bitcoin hitting 165,000 by year end on retail-led debasement trade. And listen, we have to report on this stuff. I'm super excited if we see these banks send our bags to the moon, but like watching Bitcoiners have a JP Morgasm over news about humongous banks coming in and I won't say co-opting, so I got in trouble for that, but participating in our asset class, cheering for it when you know they really do want to co-opt it, and they can't, but they would love to co-opt it and control it. Man, it's really getting hard for me to cheer for all of these people. But we do see the debasement trade in action, whether in Bitcoin or not. Look at gold. Look at that chart of gold. Gold, the most boring 1,000-year-old pet rock that our parents talked about burying in the backyard because they've also been talking about debasement for the last 30 or 40 years, trading at $4,045 a rock. Gold. Wildly outperforming Bitcoin. Let's be honest. Mike McGlone will point that out to you. And why is that happening? It is happening because of the debasement trade. And it's happening because central banks all around the world have said enough of these trash United States bond, this trash debt that you're trying to pawn off on us for our central banks. We're just going to go ahead and buy gold. And yes, some of this is obviously driven by retail, a bunch of people FOMOing in. That guy in India with all the chains that we always see the meme about who says that he's in it for the tech. You guys know that guy. I would find him, but I don't have enough time for that right now. But gold, $4,045. And that's because central banks have had enough of our debasing currency that we are purposely debasing and are trying to find something else. We heard the BRICS narrative for years. I think that's nonsensical because they can just go out and buy gold. Now, our friend Jeff Park, who's often on the show here, made a really good point that I like. He said, I don't like the term debasement trade. It implies the unwanted erosion of something durable and righteous. Righteous, dude. But what's happening is the opposite. Everyone is learning to gravitate towards something valuable and permanent. He means Bitcoin. We're long the purification trade, to which I obviously had to respond with Prince from Purple Rain saying you have to purify yourself in Lake Minnetonka. He also said it twice in the first sentence, which is more quoted. He said you have to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And those who haven't seen Purple Rain, Dave Chappelle made fun of this, but you should watch it. Apollonia, who's his love interest, he makes her jump in the lake, and then she comes running out. It's freezing cold, and he says that wasn't Lake Minnetonka. And then he peels off on his motorcycle and leaves her there. That's things that you could do in movies in the 80s that you're definitely not allowed to do anymore. But is debasement the wrong term? Is this really a purification trade? I don't know. The fact is that the entire world is clearly catching on to the idea that the dollar is trash, cash is trash, and that you need something better. And every single one of these, even the big banks, has included in that Bitcoin in that list of things that might be something better. Pretty epic. Like I really can't go back, a year, 2 years especially. I couldn't have imagined any of this. I mean, didn't we just have Morgan Stanley yesterday say that crypto should be 2 to 4% of your portfolio? I remember coming on this show and salivating over the idea that Larry Fink and BlackRock might one day say that Bitcoin should be 1% of your portfolio, which they've long said to registered investment advisors. Morgan Stanley, 2 to 4% of your portfolio should be crypto. I don't know whether Morgan had that idea or Stanley, but we need to send one of those guys a fruit basket. Do you ever imagine that Morgan Stanley are like the two guys from Trading Places, Randolph and Mortimer Duke? That's how I don't even know if Morgan Stanley are two guys, but if they were, that's how I would picture them. Randolph. Okay, the next humongous, big, tremendous, ridiculous story of the week. S&P unveils Digital Markets 50 index tracking crypto and blockchain stocks. This new S&P index will track 15 cryptocurrencies and 35 blockchain-linked stocks, signaling deeper integration of digital assets into global markets. So I haven't seen these guys, Charles and Charles. They're two guys from S&P. I've had them on the show many times years ago, and they're the heads of all digital markets at the S&P, and they've been telling me for years, Chuck Mounts, one of them, that this is coming. And here it is. They will be able to actively create an index fund that people will be able to gain exposure to both capital markets in Bitcoin and actual tokens. I think the tokens have to have a 300 million market cap, and the stocks they include have to have a 100 million market cap. I actually believe that this is going to be a monster, huge, tremendously big market. But the part that seems to have gone completely unmissed. I can't see anyone talking about it. And I dug into this for my newsletter this morning. If you guys don't subscribe to my free newsletter, it's literally free every day. I've written 1,200 of these. 1,200. 1,200 newsletters. Do you read it? Can you read? I don't even know if you can read. I don't want to take for granted that you can read. But half of the intro today was about this very news. Look at this quote. My favorite part of the announcement, which I saved for last. Denari, a leading provider of tokenized U.S. public securities, has collaborated with S&P Global on the index design and will create a token tracking the benchmark. As I said, that's right. There's going to be a token you can actually buy that tracks the index. Can you believe that? How crazy is that? How crazy is that? So you have the S&P, which is one of the largest financial institutions in the world. They're the masters of the index. This is literally what they do, going all in on crypto here. And this will be the first, as we know, of many products. And not only that, this product will be tokenized for people to trade. Who will be able to trade it? I have no idea. Where that token will be available, I have no idea. But holy crap, this is absolutely massive, monster, humongous news. And the other thing that's master, monster, humongous news that's not necessarily Bitcoin per se, but it's certainly crypto adjacent, and it's certainly huge, is the fact that Polymarket, we are excited to announce that Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, the parent company of New York Stock Exchange, is making a $2 billion strategic investment at a $9 billion post-money valuation in Polymarket. Now, you might remember, I wrote about this as well today. Polymarket is not even available in the United States. Okay, still not available in the United States, right? That's number one. But what's even crazier is that they were just fined 3 years back, $1.4 million, and issued a cease and desist order. The FBI raided the home of Shane Copeland, the CEO, and seized devices as part of their DOJ CFTC probe into alleged user activity. They've been fighting against the United States and specifically the last administration endlessly, and it didn't even look like they were going to make it. And now you have ICE investing $2 billion. Now, I was surprised, as everyone else, that those guys that run around in masks arresting illegal aliens in the United States and deporting them back to their countries were investing and had $2 billion. But here we are, man. It's 2025 and anything can happen. Of course, it's not that ICE. It is international. It is this other ICE, as we just discussed, the Intercontinental Exchange. My brain froze there. And they own exchanges all around the world, including the New York Stock Exchange. But this is the most 2025 thing where things that could not have possibly been on your bingo card in 2024 start arising. And not only that, I don't even have the news here, I don't think, but Polymarket also just announced that they're allowing for Bitcoin deposits. Bitcoin deposits. So we always knew you could use crypto on there and Americans couldn't get it, but now they're accepting Bitcoin in yet another step towards institutional, mainstream, everything adoption right now. But not everybody is super on board with tokenization and what the S&P is doing and tokenized stocks. We're actually starting to get a hell of a lot of pushback all around the world on the idea of tokenized equities and all of the risks. And I think as much as, I want to be on here, I don't know what, there's some game down here called Snorter. It's being advertised. Oh, no, I got to get that off. It's some pre-sale. Sorry, Snorter. But yeah, many of these tokens lack ownership or voting rights, exposing investors to counterparty risk. People are wrapping the stock. Who really owns the stock? There are actually a lot of issues that we need to work through here with tokenized equities that are not really being discussed. And we may be getting a bit out over our skis. But that's what we do, obviously, in the crypto industry. We get way out over our skis and we start doing things and we break stuff and then we FTX. And yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. But the reality is that one way or another, this is definitely all coming. There's absolutely no question that everything will be on blockchain rails because it's better, cheaper, and faster. And when you ask what could possibly be driving price or what actually matters now, third highest Bitcoin ETF inflow day ever yesterday after booking their second highest week of inflows since reception. So second highest week ever last week, third highest day yesterday. I think Monday was the second highest day, or maybe even the first highest day of all time. This ETF train, it is not slowing. And when people talk about the 4-year cycle or what comes next or who's going to buy this stuff or how can it keep going up, you really just need to look at liquidity and flows, which are probably the next two catchwords after debasement. Historic inflows right now. IBIT, number one in those weekly flows among all ETFs. Oh, by the way, also the most flows of any ETF anywhere on planet Earth. BlackRock's IBIT. 3.5 billion, which is 10% of all net flows into ETFs. So let's get that. 3.5 billion in weekly flows, and there was only 35 billion in weekly flows into all ETFs everywhere. Also notable is the rest of the 11 OG spot Bitcoin ETFs all took in cash in past week, even GBTC somehow. That's how hungry the fish are. 2 steps forward mode. Enjoy it while it lasts. That sounds bad. But here we go. ETF season's heating up. Solana ETFs on October 10th, locked in. We're getting staking ETFs for Solana and ETH from Grayscale. Canary filed final S1s for Litecoin and HBAR ETFs. Those are coming immediately. Granite Shares adding 3x levered ETFs for Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and XRP. We're doing it again, guys. You're doing it again. If you want to know what can put in the top, even amongst all these flows, it's going to be treasury companies taking on unnecessary risk and jackass moron idiots using 3x levered ETFs. Bitcoin's bad enough, ETH pretty bad, Sol horrendous, XRP disgusting. Not because of the assets. I'm not saying XRP is disgusting. That's up to you to decide. I'm saying with the volatility of altcoins, having 3x levered ETFs is absolute insanity. It's stupid. But hey, man, let the kids play. I think we had like 30 ETFs applied for in a single day or something like that. Absolutely insane. And it's not only ETF flows right now. Over the past quarter, short-term holders' supply increased by 559K Bitcoin, rising from a low of 4.38 million to 4.94 million Bitcoin. A significant volume of new buyers entered the market. Here we have proof. It's right there. It's not the highest it's ever been. But short-term holders are adding. A lot of that is we have ETF flows, but this is people actually buying Bitcoin, not just buying the ETFs. And you have to imagine that a lot of those ETF flows are also retail as well. The bottom line is that as we've seen over and over and over again, we're just getting really a lot of people who couldn't buy Bitcoin or didn't want to before finally FOMOing it. Now, listen, if you're on Morgan Stanley, you still don't have access, right? Vanguard, you still don't have access. A lot of these platforms, you still don't have access. You might be able to buy ETFs, but you certainly can't buy spot Bitcoin if you want. That's all coming. We've talked to Matt Hogan, who will be here tomorrow, many, many times about what percentage of retail investors in the United States probably still don't have access. I think last time it was still 30 or 40% of the people in this here United States who might have wanted to buy Bitcoin through one of their traditional platforms, unable to do so. It's really meaningful that we're seeing this happen and that it's slowly unlocking. Another huge piece of news today, just in, UK retail investors will be able to invest in Bitcoin ETNs from today. It's like aluminium. The British say things stupid, and they call them ETNs instead of ETFs. They're obviously ETFs, but they call them ETNs because they pronounce things dumb. And that's just how it is. But UK retail investors actually had been blocked forever because the UK, which is notoriously famous for freedom of speech, you can do and say anything there. It's the opposite. But they, not surprisingly, were banned from being able to invest in these Bitcoin products, which they will now be open to. We've seen what these flows do. Someone said we lost Yago. Yago's tomorrow. He will be here with Matt Hogan. He'll be here with Matt Hogan. But yeah, the retail investors in the United Kingdom are going to be able to finally participate in all of this. Guys, listen, there's a lot of reasons you could look at a Bitcoin chart and you could definitely be like, that looks toppy as shit. Like I've been kind of sharing them. I can look here. Let me see if I got the chart here. Like, we had this major FOMO. I tweeted that we're extremely bullish at resistance as usual, but we had overbought conditions. That's the 4-hour. Here's a 6-hour bearish divergence, literally everywhere. Like it was obvious that we were probably going to get some sort of retracement, but all we got was this so far, and we're back up at almost $123,000. It feels like they're going to print a whole lot of money and people are going to buy a whole lot of Bitcoin. And speaking of buying a whole lot of Bitcoin, I know you guys need the update. I did it. I set up Arch Public. We were talking about it yesterday. I set it up on Robinhood yesterday, and they were doing all these parameters with me that I was specifying. And I was like, guys, I want to buy a lot. Like I want to be firing on the hourly. I'll add more money. I just want to get this thing going. I want to feel it. I want to feel the rush of getting emails and alerts. And I set up 2 more algorithms after yesterday's show. I got on with their guys. I set up 2 more Oracle algorithms, which literally will buy me like 1%, 1.5% moves. We fired off 3 times yesterday. Here was one of them. You can see it was buying like $5,000 worth of Bitcoin at a time, buying 2,600 worth of ETH, 2,600. Went ahead. Here's my Robinhood. Fired off about $32,800 worth of buy orders on the dip. Now, remember, my goal is to buy stuff at a discount. I started this when Bitcoin was over 125,000. I was buying in the 121s and low 122s. Now, Robinhood has a 0.85% spread. So I was buying a bit higher, but once I hit 50,000, that'll be 0.25. And we're going to work on negotiating it lower. Once I hit 5 million in volume, which I will, 0.1. So just for complete transparency, this wasn't buying the dip as hard as you would expect with the 0.85, but they have no fees. So their spread, so like if price was 121.9, I'm buying at 122.9, basically, right? Which feels bad at first, but then you realize you're paying fees on any exchange and there's no fee. But that is going to come down massively, and this will improve. But of course, up about 1% on those dip buys from yesterday right now. But if I keep it up like this, I'm going to have to add a whole lot of money to this because I used basically a third of my stack, just fired it right in yesterday. And I'm pretty excited about that. As long as we don't go into the depths of a bear market and we're all dead and price goes back to 40,000, 50,000, then, that's what it's going to be. Stoic Surfer says some of your best pods are where you riff solo. This used to be my show. This used to actually be my show. And then I started just having guests all the time, which is easy and a bit lazy. And then last week, was it Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was Thursday. My guest canceled last second and Yago was in Singapore. And like 3 minutes before the show, I was like, okay, what's the news? And I brought up a bunch of story and we just ripped it. Like today, JP Morgasm, that was fresh off the dome of my head. Fresh. Like I had never thought of a JP Morgasm until today. And I hope I never do again because I don't want to ever have one, but I figured that I didn't have a guest today booked by yesterday. And let's do a solo show. It's a good time. But in just a matter of minutes, we will have Mr. Christopher Inks joining. Man, there are some wild price action as I look at this. I can't wait to see what he has to say about these gold moves. We've got this monster silver move. I mean, silver's about to cross $50. Maybe this is really the debasement trade happening. But what's crazy of all of this, and I didn't really dig into it, is what's happening with BNB, right? BNB, do I have the chart up here? I'll bring it up 1 second. I mean, BNB, like no bear markets, no retracements, no nothing. This thing only goes up. But what's crazy is when, it topped a little bit there for a second. It's at 1,300. I guess it got to 1,350. So very near top. But I think I saw today, I mean, Aster's ripped, which I know very little about, a hyperliquid competitor, obviously, on Binance. But meme coins on BNB apparently been going crazy the last few days. And whatever the meme coin platform just launched on BNB is called, it surpassed Pump Fun already in volume yesterday. So I think it's important to note that there are alt seasons happening. They're just not on my alts, which are participating in the debasement trade. I do have some alts that have done exceptionally well. But like all these alts we've been holding, I interviewed Arthur Hayes last night. That'll come out on Sunday. He said $1 million Bitcoin this cycle could happen. And I was like, yo, give it to me straight, man. Alt season. He's like, there's been alt season this whole time. What are you talking about? But I was like, can we throw a dart and everything goes up? And he was like, yeah, that's done. That's fun. Yeah. I would like you to know that Valerie said that this chat group used to be so fun. Now it's just full with bullying and negative. Hey guys, shut up and stop offending the people. Be nice to each other in the comments. Don't be assholes. Now you just fight about politics. And I guess I had the audacity to make an ICE joke and ruined it. But oh, hey, wait, real quick. I just found this tweet. I knew that I had it somewhere just to show you that I'm not making stuff up. BNB meme coin launchpad for meme flips Solana launchpad pump fun in 24-hour revenue. Clearly, there is an alt season going on somewhere in this world. It's apparently just not where I am, and I don't have the time or energy to go figure out how to use meme coin platforms on BNB. But I'm happy for those of you who do. Before we move on to Chris, I just wanted to reiterate the wait is over. World Liberty Financial's USD1 has landed on Aptos. Aptos is now the third largest chain for stablecoins. Learn about the ongoing campaigns happening here now from across the Aptos ecosystem. Give Aptos a follow. They are obviously our amazing, ridiculously cool, super sweet sponsor for now 10 months, I think 10 or 11 months. It's right up there. Go learn more stuff about them. And now to bail me out from my solo ramblings, one and only Christopher Inks. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man. How are you doing? What's going on?
I don't know. People don't like, apparently I'm reporting on news that happened days ago. It's not reporting on news. It's weaving a thread very deliberately, because I'm not winging it at all, very deliberately between stories new and old to create a narrative. I'm the media. That's what I do. But anyways, we had it's over. Bitcoin had it went all the way down to $120,658. I mean, that's a really low, scary, terrifying price.
That was tough. That was tough. Yeah.
I mean, did you make it? Like, I was going to wear my I survived the bear market of October 7th t-shirt today, but I forgot it.
Well, that's all right. I'm sure you'll have another one to wear pretty soon as well. I mean, if we're looking at here, really nothing that I haven't been talking about. It just continues working as we've been looking at. I think we've got one more push higher up here toward this 129, 130 area, and then a pullback right back down here to this low. As far as the next move goes, so we kind of get everybody breaking out. Everybody's convinced that the top's in here. It's come back. I can't believe the number of people calling tops that I see again already. It's just getting ridiculous. But, we're looking here. Let me zoom into the 4-hour here real quick.
I had the audacity to call a local top, though. I'm just saying.
Well, local top's fine. Yeah, no, people out here talking
there's
about
bearish divergence everywhere. 4-hour, 6-hour, overbought. You taught me that. So
yeah. But I mean, this is pretty clean right here. Right, pulled back, to the weekly pivot. Kind of doing some sideways here as you get that move from supply to demand, and boom, popped up. So we want to see some fall through. We want to see a breakout here above this swing high around 125, 184. And if we get that, I think we're looking up here again around the 129, 130 area. And I'm not guaranteed it's going to stop there. I think it should stop right about there, and we'll look for a reversal. And if we can get that, we'll look for it to pull right back down here around this 121 again. And then everybody can call the top again and say that the cycle's over again. And then, we'll just kind of, these breakout traders that we get here, we'll, take their money from them as it comes back down here. And then everybody will go short, thinking the top's in. And then we'll take all their money as we go back up again and do its thing. But I don't think the top's in yet. I don't see anything, in the way of structure that says that at all. And so I like the way it looks at the moment here. So would like to see this move up and pull back down here. Now, after that's a good question. Normally what I would say after that is we get like, a fifth wave up here and then we pull back. But with as long as we've been going sideways here, I mean, effectively we've been sideways since back over here in May. We were sideways here and then we broke up and then we get this range that's sideways here. So that's a long time. And the longer you go sideways, the longer you consolidate, the bigger and stronger and, further that breakout goes. So I could potentially see us, overextending here. Once we get this, if we get the rejection that I'm looking for up here around 130, 132, maybe even somewhere right around there. And then the pullback down here toward 121. Instead of just getting up here maybe at 135, 137, I could see us maybe see that fifth wave overextending up here toward 155. We'll see what happens. I'm not guaranteeing that's what's going to happen, but again, with the size of this, the length of this sideways here that we've had, I would not be surprised to see that overextension happen on that push up there. So we'll see what happens, but overall, not hating it at all. You mentioned big BNB, man. This is one of my favorite tweets that I've had because back over here, I mentioned was at December 3rd of 23. I basically said, wouldn't it be a shame if we were to go up from it? Because this was the point where everybody was screaming, this was with CZ and Binance and the U.S. government, all that.
Yeah,
issue.
he was going to jail and Binance wasn't going to exist and it was going to be over.
Yeah,
Which I guess
exactly.
fundamentally were rational points, like if you thought that BNB as a token would be banned or something. But hey, here we are.
Exactly. And and my thought was, no, we're going to go up. And so I did that. It would be a shame if it just kind of cleared the path, this push right here, and we were to go. And yeah, we've gone. So I mean, had you gone long at that point and held on, you'd be up 5x. So not one of my strongest calls. It's been about 2 years almost. But I like it just because everybody was so bearish right here. It was such an easy call to talk about it heading up. And, again, up here already, almost $1,400. Absolutely insane. So really liked that BNB thing from there. Ethereum. I want to talk about Ethereum real quick because it's a lot similar to Bitcoin. Again, looking for this. We pulled back mid-range here. We're getting this bounce. So once again, zooming into the 4 hour there. Not quite as exciting as Bitcoin's 4 hour at the moment, but again, I'm looking at this as like a flat correction here. So A, B, and then C down here, looking for this to rally up. So if we can get some follow through here, I do think we kind of head up here toward just breaking the all-time high up there, right there around maybe $5,000. And then I would expect a pullback down here toward this 4,500. And then we take off, towards 7,000. So still liking the Ethereum setup. It's been so funny this cycle, how anti-Ethereum everybody's been, right? I mean,
until we got Tom Lee, it was brutal.
Yeah, exactly. And and you and I've been talking many times on here
like
about
BNB.
Go.
Right. I mean, we were talking about that the same way you were talking about BNB. It was just irrational beatdown.
Yeah, exactly. And, and then it did that huge move. And hopefully some people made a lot of money in a very short period of time there. And then now, all of a sudden it's a very big, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It didn't break out right here, and I don't think so. Again, I think we've still got from this area here. I want to see this kind of continue up here, but I think we've got that move up toward that 5. Again, get kind of those breakout traders trapped in there, come back on them, take their money. Everybody goes short then, come back in there, take their money, and then send it back up. Similar to what I was talking about on Bitcoin. So don't really see
the first shot at a new all-time high it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
Like getting right up there and getting rejected is not unusual. It's happened over and over and over with Bitcoin, by the way. I mean, it even happened in the last bear market, 65 all the way down to 28, back up to 69, swept it, and new bear market, right? Breaking new all-time highs can be high. I think it happened at the end of 24, right? We went up to like 110 and then way back down, then swept it, and then all the way to 74 and then made new highs.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you got to Bitcoin and everybody's complaining about, oh, look, it can't hold 100,000 because it kept kind of bouncing back and forth through it. And it's been 140 somewhat days above 100,000 now. And, people just want, people are irrational. They just want those, they want the breakout, the guarantee, instead of understanding how, liquidity works, on your charts in those markets. So it is what it is. But anyway, again, I think the setup's there. We just need to see a little bit of follow through here to get us heading up there. So as long as we're above on these daily time frames, as long as we're above these monthly pivots here on Ethereum, that's around 42, 44 or so, as long as we're above those, we should be thinking higher overall. Now, if we get an impulsive breakdown and close through it, well, then things start looking a little different. And I look down here toward, 37.24 potentially, sweep that low and come down there. But, while we're above it, generally speaking, we should be looking for higher. So, again, I like the setup there. 3 quick alts here I'm looking at. ACX is interesting. We've kind of pulled back up here toward the pivot here, the weekly pivot. So this is the 4-hour time frame. Really what we need is a breakout above this 0.1236. That's going to add confidence to this idea, where we'll have, we'll be looking up here around 16 cents as the target before we get a decent pullback. But right now, locally here, we've got this big 4-hour fair value gap. So, I mean, if you can get a 4-hour candle to close above the top of this fair value gap here, which is right there at 12 cents, that would even be quicker than the 1236 here as far as indicating the low is likely in. You can look for a 4-hour candle, just an impulsive breakout and close above this 0.117 to give you an even quicker idea that the low is probably in. But I do like the pullback. Pulls back right here to this previous resistance support area here. So it's absolutely where you would expect it. High volume ledge there, right back up into the low volume node here. So we should kind of pop up on through that head there. But decent little target up there for that. I've got CRV here. CRV is also interesting. This is the daily time frame. We got the breakout. This looks like a bit of a wedge here. We do have this breakout, with some volume and larger candle spread through that descending resistance. Rallied up toward the R1 pivot there, rejected, pulled back down here to the pivot, finding support, pivot, that descending resistance there. Doji candle. I mean, it's looking pretty good overall to me. So I think, overall, my next kind of general target here is right up there around $1.09. And if we're getting up there, of course, we might pull back before we break out, but ultimately should break out and head higher. But I do like the setup. I do like the bit of the run here, the bit of that rally. Again, it pulled back right to where you would expect it to pull back here, which is all, again, just part of this right here. So again, you look left, all the information you need is on the chart, right? Everything you need is on the chart, low volume node. I mean, everything works there. So looking for that to hold right here. And if it can hold here, we'll get that pop. We should ultimately be heading up there. And then finally, a blast from the past, Dash. I remember that first time Dash was running up and $200 and $400 and all that. Absolutely fantastic. This is a great push right here in September. It's a great push up. We came down. Here we go. Looks like I love the volume and the price action through here. You can see, especially from this push up into the swing high, this pullback, that volume just drops off. That's what you love to see, as it kind of prints what appears to be a spring here. So on this 4-hour, you get the spring at the low here. You've got a bullish engulfing candle pushing back up. And really, again, just kind of coming to this swing low area here. So I like the setup here. I think that's probably a spring. If we can get a 4-hour candle, impulsive breakout and close above the weekly pivot here at 32.17, that's going to signal the low is likely in. Breakout above 38.36 is going to add confidence to that being complete. And then we've got almost a $49 target up here based on the height here of this pullback. Nice little price action target there. So this does look like reaccumulation. This does look like a spring here. And so now we just need some follow through on this. Now, if it does happen to break on down here, I would look here around this 24.50 area as the reversal point. But so far, it's looking good here on the 4-hour. So those are the charts I have right now. Those are the ones I'm watching and what we're looking for as far as all that goes. But I think how
about the most bullish chart in the history of mankind? Gold. Look at that.
Man, gold.
Look at that cup and handle, by the way. I mean, when you look at it, it's like really astounding.
Yeah. Here's the one thing about commodities. Commodities, again, if we're talking in terms of how people are, right, which is identified through Elliott wave, then what we know about commodities is usually you get that really vertical move on the final wave, on the 5th wave. That doesn't mean it's done yet, but again, you usually get it going much more vertical there from that. I like your little coffee cup.
Classic technical pattern. I was listening to you. I'm just a God tier multitasker. I just wanted to show people.
Well, and I've been bullish on gold since since well, publicly since 2018. You might remember when I was talking about it back then.
I've been bullish on gold since the Spanish ink was since the Spanish conquistadors. Crazy.
But yeah, we were talking about 4,000. So we've got 4,000 now. Back on silver, a few years back, I was thinking we might get lower. We dropped below $10. I was thinking we might get, a little bit lower. We didn't. We turned, and then I changed, and I started talking about 50, hitting that that all-time high area. We're just about there with that. I mean, so no real surprises with anything that's going on here. My other thing is I was talking about the Dow probably hitting at least 50,000 before we get any kind of recession or anything. We're pretty close to that. We've been up there around 45, 46,000. So, everything just kind of working as you would expect, or at least as I was expecting. The funny thing is you get, you get a lot of hell when you make these calls when things are a lot lower. And then people tend to forget when they get higher. And then you remind them like, oh, look at you, you're showing off, you're whatever. But no, it's just
Chris, I have no idea what you're talking about. Nobody ever says anything like that. Hey, jerk offs, most of your calls over the past 5 years are wrong.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. You
Chris?
You really got to wonder, people that lash out like that, you got to wonder what happened to them, why they're hurting so bad that they feel the need to be, silly like that. But people will be people. No skin off my back.
It's fine. Well, guys, we'll have Chris, of course, back next Wednesday. Maybe I'll be solo before him. Maybe I'll be more responsible and buttoned up and put together with a guest. We will see. But Chris, where can everybody check out everything you're building?
Man, of course, y'all can come on out to members.texaswestcapital.com. We'd love to have you there. Again, we do a lot of calls. We do a lot of amazing calls, BNB and others like that. But the real thing you get there is just learning, how markets actually move, how liquidity flows through markets, and not these one-offs that a lot of other people out there are telling you. So we'd love to have you there. We'd love to bring you in and kind of teach you that you can do this yourself. It's not difficult, but it's it's not easy.
Tell me, how many years now is the anniversary? 7 years, 8 years?
8 years, man. 8 years. Yeah, since 2017. So had so many amazing calls during that time. Best one we did, real quick, man.
No, you jerk offs. 5.
We did Naked a few years back, NAKD. It was like around 8 or 10 cents. And I talked about that in there. And that thing ultimately went up to like $52.
Dude, we did. Yeah, you're not remembering the Trig.
Trig. Oh, Trig. Yeah, Trig is what started. I always forget what that one's called. That
Trig.
Was the one that
it was some putting guns on the blockchain or something, but we pulled a gajillion X's on that.
I said a 10 or 12
XRP at pennies.
Was a good one, yeah.
Tron, when it was trading like in sats as like one of those like low sat coins, it only moved one sat and it was like 2,000. There were some big ones, man.
XVG,
really
yeah. There's a whole bunch of
XVG listed on Pornhub. You remember that?
Oh my God, yeah. So much news that we listened to back in the day that was really ends up not being much of anything, but that's why charts kind of lead the way, right?
That's why we need you. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Chris. Thanks, man. Always fun going down memory lane. We will see you guys tomorrow. I got Matt Hogan and Yago. Peace out. Bye.
Awesome.
If your mobile number was stolen and your passwords were reset, would you even know it until it was too late? Your crypto wallets, exchanges, email, bank, cloud accounts, gone because someone took over your phone number and hijacked your two-factor authentication. This is called a SIM swap attack, and in the crypto world, it's one of the most devastating ways to get hacked. It's not rare. It happens every single day. That's why I've personally been a customer of Afani for years. In fact, I've been with them since before it was even called Afani, when I was the victim of a SIM swap and my friend Charlie Shrem introduced me to the CEO and founder Haseeb. I trusted them with my security first, and because I believed in it so much, I later became an investor in the company as well. Afani is built to stop SIM swaps, protect your privacy, and back you with $5 million in insurance just in case. They even include complimentary international data roaming so you can stay secure but also stay connected all around the world. Top crypto investors, traders, influencers, public figures, and financial institutions use Afani because one attack can be so costly. Afani is offering a discount for our community, and to learn more, go to afani.com/Scott Melker to get a secure mobile service with peace of mind. That's EFANI.com/SCOTTMELKER. You can also find the link in the description and show notes. In crypto, security isn't optional, it's survival.